Hey guys, what is up and welcome to another episode of Did You Know featuring LeBlanc. Please don't forget to throw in the like if you enjoyed this episode and also check out the previous episodes of this series. But without any further ado, let us jump straight into her abilities. Remember that if you hold Alt and right click, you will be able to control LeBlanc's passive's clone. On top of this, it acts like a champion. What this means is that it can be used to block things like Ashe ultimate, Kate ultimate, and things like that. LeBlanc's passive, which spawns a clone, will automatically run away from the source of damage that proc the passive to begin with. The slow effect on ethereal chains, which is her E ability, do not stack. Also, the snare will overlap if used together, so it is not efficient to throw them at the exact same time, but rather after one of them is done. Something to ease your mind is that if your passive happens to go off of cooldown and you're already below 40%, it will not auto-proc just because you are below 40% HP, but rather you will need to take at least one damage of any source that will make a proc once more. Be careful when trying to use your clone to trick your opponents, as if you let it auto-attack, the opponent will automatically know that that's the clone, because not only does the clone do no damage with the auto-attacks, but it does not do any on-hit effects such as Red Buff or Spirit of the Ancient Lizard. Don't forget that LeBlanc's W has no range limit prohibiting you from returning to your initial location. Therefore, a tip with this to juke or escape is to use your W, then ulti, and then walk a bit and then W back to your initial location. A very famous version of this juke was made by LMHT and it's called the brushy, where you go from the bush, W, ulti, over the wall, and then W back into that same bush. An interesting thing is that after leveling your ultimate at 6 for the first time, it will automatically default to your most recent spell casted. A typical full combo of assassinating an unsuspecting foe is to use your E, Q, ulti, and then W. The reason you use E first is to ensure that you will hit it. However, starting with E in a team fight can be very difficult. Therefore, for a combo in a team fight, you want to use your W to get in, and then Q, ulti, and then E, and then W back out. An obvious but important thing to remember with LeBlanc is that the sigil and the mimicked version will pop each other's mark, dealing massive damage. Since LeBlanc's ethereal chains can put a slow and a snare onto your target and is considered a CC, QSS can be used to remove either the chain or the snare. Don't forget that one application of ethereal chains will hit the target twice, on the first application and once it snares. This is important to remember because both times can be used to proc your mark off of your Q or your mimicked Q. A very important and crucial item to pick up as LeBlanc, and usually should be your first pickup, is Deathfire Grasp, as it increases your burst potential significantly. Alright guys, let us jump into some really cool facts and lore about LeBlanc. Did you know that LeBlanc was designed by Coronac, who I've mentioned many times in this series? He also made Akali, Elise, Katarina, Lee Sin, and many more. LeBlanc was chosen to be part of the 2010 Ionian vs Noxus match, however, she was unfortunately not selected. LeBlanc might reference a character in Final Fantasy X-2 who used illusions to trick people as well and was named LeBlanc. LeBlanc in French means the white. Apparently it may reference a French mathematician named Sophie Germain, as she used the name M. LeBlanc to attend a university back when women were actually not allowed to. If you look closely at LeBlanc's reflection in her old initial artwork, the reflection is slightly different and can be showing her old self. As you can see, she does not have those markings under her eyes in the reflection. Her joke,
"For my next trick, I'll make their life bar disappear,"
can be referencing the common stage magician routine, where the performer will make their assistant or some sort of large object vanish in front of an audience. It can also be connected to the false leak of her abilities, where her ultimate made her team's life bar disappear for the enemy team. LeBlanc's quotes,
"Classic misdirection,"
and
"Lying is like 95% of what I do,"
are possible references to the TV series called Archer. Also, LeBlanc's old classic artwork can reference Snow White movies, since it has a magic mirror in the background. The skin Wicked LeBlanc references Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians. The skin Prestigious LeBlanc is a reference to magicians in general, prestigious being a common title and the prestige being the final and grandest part of a magician's act. Apparently LeBlanc has a real name and it is Yvain, but after taking the mantle of Emilia LeBlanc, who is matron of the Black Rose Society, she switched it. Did you know LeBlanc and Swain are in an alliance? In a previous episode of Vayne, I mentioned that Vayne's parents were killed by a witch. Some suggest that witch is LeBlanc. Some also say that LeBlanc impersonated Jarvan in a fight over Kalamanda, which is a small village in Valoran. If you look closely at the reflection in Swain's breastplate in this picture, you can actually see a reflection of LeBlanc instead of what should be Jarvan's. Alright guys, and that unfortunately does mark the end of this episode of Did You Know featuring LeBlanc. I surely hope you enjoyed this episode, and don't forget to throw in a like for this video as I made this video while I was sick, as you can probably tell in my voice. Also, please don't forget to throw in a comment to suggest who you want to see in the next episode. As you can see, this one was suggested by a user in the previous episode. Please do me a favor and like me on Facebook and Twitter, both are Red Mercy LOL, and also I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.